What's up, guys? It's Sam here, and I wanted to talk about 14 countries, like the title says, wherever that is. But I don't want to do that just to like brag. Well, maybe a little bit, but not like I didn't like. There was a point in time where I eat ramen noodles every day because I didn't have any money. They're like, I remember pulling up to the gas station and like digging underneath my seats and just hoping there was change down there so I could put $1.50 of gas into my car. Or I rented this house with a bunch of guys. There was like 5 or 6 of us, and it was like $175 a night, or for the month, $175. And there were shootings all the time. Like the SWAT team like blocked off the road with the yellow tape, and they were walking around with their shields and their guns out because somebody with a gun had ran down the street and gone to the neighbors. Like, it's possible. Like, going from that and just focusing on perpetual and marginal gains all the time allows me to get to these 14 countries. Like, my life is fucking amazing, and it's possible. I think there's a lot of people who don't think some of these things are in like their realm of thinking, but it clearly is. I mean, for me to be able to go from that to going to these 14 countries, but with that, I want to actually talk about the 14 countries. So the first one, it does count. It is a country. I live here in the U.S. That is the one country, right? Country number 1. Country number 2 is Canada. I went to Canada when I was 19, so I can go up there and drink. And because Canada allows you to drink at 19, you can also get into the strip club. So I remember going up to the strip club, and then I was like, why do people fucking waste their money in a strip club? Like, I can find such a better way to spend this money. And I've only been to a couple strip clubs because I'm like, I just don't see any point. Like, I just... Like, it's not. I don't need to pay. And it sounds probably bad, but I'm like, I don't need to pay girls to take off their clothes. Why go to a strip club and pay girls to see them naked? Like, I can do that for free. You know what I mean? It was like, I just didn't get like why people would do that. It was like, well, this doesn't make any fucking sense. So then there was a period of time where I didn't do as much traveling, and then after I finished grad school, I decided to backpack around Europe. And I just created a list here so I can quickly reference it so I don't lose any of these. And that was such an amazing experience. Truly amazing. If I were to do it again, oh man, maybe I would double the length and bring half as much shit or something. But that was such an amazing experience. So I started in the UK. Started in London. I was there for a few days. That was for about 40 days. So it was relatively pretty short period of time at every city. So it was like 7 cities that time, or 7 countries in like 11 cities or something like along those lines. But we started in the UK, London. I went with my ex-girlfriend. Then from there, we took this like cool cruise ship thing for the night to the Netherlands. So that was almost kind of like its own little experience because it was like kind of cruise ship, and you know, that was the first time. Actually, I kind of had been on a cruise. I never really thought about that. I always say I have never been on a cruise, but that was kind of like a cruise. Then we landed in Amsterdam. Amsterdam, we stayed for about 4 days. I don't remember a lot about seeing shit in Amsterdam. Actually, I do. So I remember first getting off the train in Amsterdam, and you come out of the train, and there's a 2-level like parking garage, but the parking garage, like here in the United States, you know what I mean? These gigantic mammoth like structures of cement and steel, and you know, and there it's 2 levels, and it was just a sea of bicycles. It was a parking lot for bicycles, and that's all it was. Amsterdam is like you're living in another world. It's not at all. It did not feel. I mean, it could have been the drugs. That could have been it too. But it was like you're in another world. It's the first time I had. They're not mushrooms. I think they're called truffles. But they're similar to mushrooms, and that was the first time that I had those. Also, just buying weed in like a shop was super interesting, right? Because this is back in 2011, before it was like legal everywhere. And then from there we went to Germany. Germany, we stayed in Berlin, and I don't know if it was because of all the shit we did in Amsterdam or what it was in Germany. We stayed a little bit outside the city, so maybe that had something to do with it. The language barrier, that was before like everybody had their phone with them. I mean, you had your phones with you, but it wasn't like it is today. And we had a difficult time with the language there because it wasn't just like you could pull it up and do Google Translate to the same degree you can in 2019. This is 2011. Like, it doesn't sound like it was that long ago, but it was a fucking ancient time ago. Look at how far we've come in technology in the last 8 years. So we actually ended up leaving Germany a day early, and we went to Prague, which is in the Czech Republic. That is a beautiful, beautiful city. That was stunningly beautiful. I was completely surprised at how amazingly beautiful it was. Also surprised that like a bottle of water is like $74, but it's not dollars. It's whatever currency they were using in the Czech Republic, and they didn't use the euro. I don't know if they're in the EU now or not, but so there was a tremendous like everything was like really cheap because it was like 40 to fucking 1 in terms of a dollar to their currency, or 60 to 1 or something like that. So everything was cheap. So I think we ate pretty good there. And then from Czech Republic, went to Italy and went to 4 cities. Went to Rome, Florence, Milan, and Venice. The two that really stood out to me. Can you pick your nose like this? It's actually kind of hard to get your fingers together on the back like that. Rome and Venice really stood out to me. I mean, the other two were amazingly beautiful. I don't remember much about Florence, honestly. And Milan, I feel like there was a cool something that we saw. Oh, like a white church, but they call them not cathedral. A dogma or something. It starts with a D. Somebody can let me know down below in the comments. But Rome was one of my favorite cities. That was just really cool because probably that I knew the most about Rome. Because I used to learn about gladiators and that kind of thing. And I thought that was cool at the time when I was a child. And then Venice was also, it was like make believe. It was similar to Amsterdam, where it's just like so different. You'd go down like a hallway, and literally my shoulders would touch both sides of it. Excuse me. If I wanted to spend several hours going through and editing this, I would try to figure out how to put pictures up in this thing. But that was very cool. Like Venice, if you guys have time and if you enjoy traveling, Venice is super touristy, but it's just a cool experience. It would be fun to go out there for maybe 2 or 3 months and just spend the time there and explore more of the city, not such a rush every day. From there, I believe I went to Switzerland in Zurich, and the train to go there. Oh my gosh. I remember those pictures you see on Instagram where a train is like, this is like a valley, right? And these are mountains on either side with snow on them. And the train is just going along the mountainside. And you look out the window and you can see the valley and these mountains, and you can see down between the mountains. It's stunningly beautiful. That's the most actually I remember about Switzerland. The actual city of Zurich just was like ridiculously expensive. And funny thing about Zurich was that while we were there, we weren't sure how to pay for the train to get around. So, the same thing with the Czech Republic. In the Czech Republic, we didn't even know you were supposed to pay for it. I mean, we probably knew you were supposed to pay for it. But everybody just appeared. They were getting on and off this trolley. And it was just like jump on, you hold on, and then it drives, and you get off kind of thing. And it just appeared that people were just getting on and off, and they weren't paying for it. So we just did what everybody else was doing in Czech Republic and didn't pay for transportation while we were there. And then in Switzerland, the same thing happened. And we were just like getting out of the train and getting off the train. And, I'm sure that wasn't probably the thing we should have been doing. But I remember having difficulty figuring out how to pay for it, and like the train was coming, so we just jumped on, and then it was like, okay, well, maybe we'll just do this on the way back, and then we just kept doing that. From there, went to France, and in France we saw 2 cities, Nice, which is, I believe, southern France or something like that. And Nice was very interesting. It was a little bit smaller of a city, but I remember two things about Nice. Three things. There was this like bed and breakfast we stayed in, and it had like a velvet wallpaper, like literally textured velvet, like those bathrobes you would see that are like very I don't velour, I think the word is. That was on the wallpaper. Like you could go like this, and you could see the handprints of like my fingers this way, and then you brush it up like that. Like those pillows. That's what the fucking wallpaper was. It was a maroon color. It was a very, very different Airbnb. It wasn't. They didn't have Airbnb that I knew about at the time. So we actually stayed at it was like bed and breakfast. And then you'd walk down to town, and it was maybe a 3-minute or 5-minute. I don't know. I don't remember how long it was of a walk. And there would be the beach there, and I think it happened to be like on the weekend that we have to be in the city, and there was hookers like everywhere, and it was just I remember seeing them all the time, and every single corner there'd be hookers. That was the conclusion that I drew. I didn't go chat with them, but that was. I had a girlfriend, remember, at the time. Also, speaking of hookers, the Netherlands, the red light district, super cool. Not something that I don't think my girlfriend maybe at the time was enjoying, potentially. I don't know. But so literally it's like this one street, and you go, and then there's a couple on the side streets too, but it's the red light district, and you walk down, and think of like those movies, like maybe I think it's like Toy Story or the thing where you walk down the store shelf, right, and you see these boxes, and it's got the clear plastic, right, and then you see Woody or like whatever it is like inside the box, like moving around as like customers walk by. It's kind of like that, right? There's a glass door, and then the girls are just like in the windows, like on their phone or dancing or whatever. And then you like go inside, right? And then you do your thing, and or whatever that is, and then you come back out, and the street's like fucking packed. So like you open the door, like after you finish up, I would assume, right? I was there with my girlfriend again, I mentioned. So I would assume you just walk back out in the street, and just, everybody knows what you just did, and you're like, "What's up?" But that was. In the Netherlands, I forgot to mention. Very interesting experience. So back to Nice. In the beach was pretty there, but it was all like round rocks, not like a beach as in with sand. But that was like that's normal for them, right? Or at least the beach that I was at. Then from there we went to Paris. Paris had the Eiffel Tower. That was definitely the thing that I remember. Although leaving, so we had to go from Paris back to London to catch a flight back to Boston in the U.S. for the trip home. And we tried to get on, like, we take a subway to a train, so there's one type of train versus another, right? It's called the subway versus the actual train taking you to the airport. And so we do that, and somehow we're like we can't get out because you need your slip to like get out, and we didn't have slips to get out because we were like on the subway, and then you just get on the train, and I guess you're supposed to pay for it. We didn't know that. Like literally, there's a train, you pull up and you get off, and you get on this other thing, right? We didn't know you were supposed to pay for it, and so we get to the airport and we can't get off, and it's not like New York City where they just have this tumbler like bar that you can just push over, climb underneath or something. It's like these giant glass things that go like this. So we can't get off. So, my girlfriend is freaking the fuck out at this point. She's like, and it was super early in the morning, and we're running late now to leave. And the day before, we decided to stay on the Eiffel Tower until like it was closing. We finish up and we have dinner up there, and then we go to leave, and we're like just chilling and whatever, and there's no bus or train, and because it was like our last night, we're like, okay, well, let's just spend the rest of the euros that we have, right? So we didn't have any cash, to go back. So we ended up walking 3 hours to get back to where we were because we didn't know how to get back otherwise. And that was definitely an interesting experience. So she was already fucking pissed that we had to walk 3 hours to get home. We get home in the middle of the night. Then we have to get up at like 5 o'clock. So we got in probably at like 3 something. Then we have to get up at like 5 to leave to go to the airport. So we're running late as it is, rushing. We get on the subway. Then from the subway, we get into the train. We get to the airport, and we rush off, and we can't get through the gate, right? Because you need to put your thing in for it to open up. So I came up with I was like, let's just follow somebody, right? But at this point, everybody's fucking gone. So we had to wait for another train. Another train comes, and like I see like a pilot or a flight attendant or something get off. So I just like, they put in their thing, and I just follow them like super close. I'm just like on their back. They can like feel my breath on their neck, right? And I'm just like getting through right behind them so that I can get through. And then I like, you know what I mean, go to the other side, and she doesn't follow anybody. So she's stuck on this side because she's not comfortable, right? Like, I get it. Like, she's just not comfortable. I'm like literally fucking breathing on this person's neck. Like, they don't know who the fuck I am. Like, if they had really paid attention, I would have, you know what I mean? They're like, what the fuck is this crazy person doing? You know? And so I get through, and now she's on the other side. She's fucking fuming. Because that's all the people. The train just came through. She didn't follow anybody. So now she's just SOL. She's on this side. I'm on this side. And they have these things that aren't opening up, right? So she's fucking pissed. She's really small. So what we did is, I was like, babe, just throw over your fucking shit, right? Throw it over the top. She threw her shit over. And then, like, she was small enough where they come together like this. Like, where I wouldn't be able to fit through. But she was able to, like, pull her boobs through and then, like, slide through it or whatever. And so she got through, and she's fucking fuming, right? And then, because at this point, she's just not talking to me because she's so fucking mad. And so we go up, and then, like, we're, like, rushing, and we come down the other side. And I don't know where the fuck I'm going. And then we go around this other side, and we come down this way, and then there's, like, another set of gates. So you go through these gates, and then we're back on the other side of the fence again. Oh man, and I'm like laughing, cause I'm pretty like easygoing. I'm very intense, but I'm like very casual, if that makes sense. You get that like pulling in both directions, so sometimes that comes off like wrong to certain people. And now we're back on the other side, and I'm just like giving her a hard time because she is so fucking pissed at me. Anyways, we get through, we get back to the UK, we get back to the US. And then the next place that I ended up going to was I was living in Hawaii, and I found a ticket to Australia for like $300. So I went to 300 and change, I think it was. Went to Australia for like 8 or 9 days by myself. First trip that I went on by myself. I stayed in this little coastal area outside of Sydney Harbor. Which is super cool. Stayed in this hostel, met some cool people, saw these like blue mountains and like at Sydney, and then I flew up to Queensland, like the Gold Coast. I stayed right on the water there. That was cool. I actually had a friend from Instagram. By the way, check out my Instagram, link in the description. Come say what's up. I had a friend from Instagram pick me up from the airport, and we just chilled when we were over there. I was there for a couple days, and then went back, and then I think the next place that I went to was Belize in South America, Central or South America. I don't know. You can correct me down below. Belize is beautiful. Belize City. Went over towards, I think it was Guatemala. Saw some of the Mayan ruins, and then went out to this tiny little island for a few days, and it's called Keycocker. It's such a crazy little place. It's so tiny that you can walk from either side of the other island. You can walk from this side of the island to this side of the island in maybe like 8 minutes. And it's just, I don't know, it's such a cool spot. And you could walk in 20, 30 minutes. You could walk from one end of the island to the other end of the island. Very, very cool spot. Would definitely go back out there and spend some more time out there. And then I think I went to Mexico outside of Puerto Vallarta. Puerto Vallarta is very beautiful too. First time being in Mexico, that was definitely a good experience. Stayed at a resort there, so that was an all-inclusive resort. First time doing that. That was definitely fun. Although I got super bloated because I went from being on a diet to not being on a diet and just drinking and fucking eating a lot of food. So I got super bloated while I was there, but it was such an amazing experience. Definitely a blast walking around and seeing the thing, chilling at the beach and just having fun. And then from there, I went to Spain with this is my new girlfriend, Jaleesa. She's absolutely amazing, super beautiful, and just such an amazing person. But went to Spain, and that was in Barcelona. So Jaleesa is such an amazing person. She does 97% of the planning for our most recent trips, and we're going to go to Barcelona. And she was like wanted to check out maybe another area. I forget what the city is off the coast of Spain. I don't remember, but it's very. I don't remember the name of it. You can Google it, but it's a very big party area. Not that we party very much, but we were thinking about going there or just going to a small coastal city near Barcelona. And so I'm like, ooh, babe did all the planning for this one. I'll just book the Airbnb and surprise her because I don't want her to be stressed out about that. Because like I'm very nonchalant and just go with the flow, but other people like to plan things, right? So we are in the airport. We don't have any place to stay when we land. So I just like book something, and then when we get in the air, I'm like, hey babe, I booked the thing, right? Now we're in the air. And you know what I mean? It was like a surprise because it was like kind of bothering her that we didn't have any place to stay, or like know where to go or anything like that. So I showed her the thing, and she's like, "Oh, cool, that's awesome." You know what I mean? And then 5 hours later, 6 hours later, whatever it is, we land. We get our shit, and then we take a piss, and then we got to figure out where to go. So I started looking it up. This is a 2-hour fucking bus ride away. Oh man, because the place that I picked was completely 100% outside of Barcelona, like not even slightly near Barcelona. It was like 2 or 3, 4